Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 8-1, Solve an equation with rational coefficient. This lesson is found on pages 324 to 329. Please reference these pages if you need further assistance. Now, what we mean by rational coefficient is we will be working with a coefficient, the number that goes next, that multiplies with the variable, or that depends on the variable for its value. And it's a rational number, so it can be a decimal, it could be a mixed number, a fraction, a negative number. It can be any of those. It's a rational number. So that's what we're going to be working with. Here we're doing a one-step operation. Okay, one-step operation to solve for the variable. Just notice that here we're doing the operation on this side is multiplication. So we have to do the inverted operation, which is division. You divide it by the coefficient, the value of the coefficient, which is -4. So in order to isolate the variable, you're going to divide it by -4 on this side. And you see, -4 divided by -4 is 1. So this -4 is gone, and we're left with just the x. Okay? And you just divide the other side by -4. So -3.2 divided by -4 equals 0.8. So x is decimal 8. In the first example, we had multiplication. So we had to use division to isolate the variable. We used the division property of equality. Now, in this equation, we have division. So we're going to use the multiplication property of equality. And remember, we have to multiply by the inverse. So that means, for this equation, we're going to multiply the inverse of a half, a -1/2, which would be 2 over 1. Okay, so when we do that, and I multiply by -2 over 1, the negative remains, and we cross-reference, okay, it cancels out, so we're left with simply the 8. And when we do it to the other side, -2 over 1, remember that this is also over 1, we can ignore the ones on the bottom, because all rational numbers are over 1. And we just simply multiply across, and we multiply 5 times -2 is -10. And you can see that's our answer right there. So A is -10. As an independent practice, please complete numbers 1 to 8. Let's start by doing number 4 together. For number 4, our coefficient is a rational number, decimal 5, positive. So we're going to divide it out. Notice that it's being, the operation we have here is multiplication. Whenever you have a coefficient in a variable, it's multiplication. So we're going to divide it out. So divide by 0.5 as well as this side 0.5. And when we divide it, it's gone on this side. And when we divide 25 divided by decimal 5, when we divide it by a half, we're trying to figure out how many halves we have in 25. Well, for every one here, we have 2 of them, right? So it becomes 50. For every one, we have 2. So therefore, x is 50. And it makes sense. Half times a number becomes a half of that number. Let's try number 5 again together as well. This is a rational number. It's a fraction. It's negative. So we have to, it's being multiplied over here, and we have to divide it. But remember, when we divide, we actually end up multiplying by its multiplicative inverse. Don't forget that. That's the second step when we write a division. Remember, if I were going to divide 1/4 divided by 1/4, right? And I know it's positive and this one's negative, but I'm just giving you an example. The next step would be to divide 1/4 times 4 over 1. Remember? Okay, that would be our next step, to find the multiplicative inverse and switch it to a multiplication sign. That's why we actually multiply by its inverse. So what's going to happen here is that they get cross-referenced, and I'm left with my y. While over here, I will multiply the inverse. So it's 16 over here. Remember, I do have a 1 under it, but we don't care about the 1 because all rational numbers are over 1. But it's 16 times -4 equals -64. So x is -64. Okay, here you have the 2-word problems. Let's try number 8 together. Samantha has 15 packets of beads. She wants to make bracelets that use 1.5 packets of beads each. Write and solve an equation to find how many bracelets Samantha can make. So she has 15 packets in total, and she wants to make packets that are 1.5 packets each. There's 2 ways I can write this. I know that, for example, if I have 15 packets and I want to make 1.5 packets each, and we want to know how many we can make. Well, I can take my 15 and divide it by 1.5, and that's my x. Okay, that's what I'm solving for. I can also take, say, I have X amount, or I want to make bracelets that are 1.5 length each. Times the number of bracelets will give me 15 packets. That's another way to do it. Or we can also take the number of packets, okay, take the number of packets divided by the number of bracelets I want to make, and it's going to give me 1.5 per bracelet, okay? So these are all different ways to write this expression. Let's go ahead and figure out the first one right here. Just by figuring out the first one, that's the easiest way to do it. 15 divided by 1.5, we know it's going to be 10, right? So x is 10. Therefore, 10 bracelets could be made.